Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Shakespeare Wonderflyte push button reel, a model number 1765. Actually, it's number 1765 model EG. The model is going to be for the year that it was first made. And we're going to take this thing apart and see if we can't get it up and going again. It doesn't want to turn, but it does turn if you use enough force. So we're going to take this bad boy apart and service it and have it ready to go fishing again. All right. Now I got quite a bit of line from this, or reels from this one estate sale this week, and every one of them had this yellow line on it. And I've been stripping it off as I go. And I'm going to strip this off too. Look at that stuff. There's no way you're going to get much of a cast out of that. Okay, so let's get that off. I'll strip that down in a little bit. And if you'll notice, there's a spring wire in here. And that spring wire is what operates this and allows it to hold up. It catches on it, and then when you rotate it, it drops it back down like that. Okay, so that's as far as that needs to go. Stand by a second, and I'll get my drill, and we're going to go ahead and strip off this line. All right, I actually have hundreds of rods come into my shop over the last couple of years, and a large portion of them are shattered, broken, whatever. And a lot of times, if it's too far gone, I will just strip the line off of it and then cut what's left of the blank into sections, and I'll use that with my drill to strip line off of reels. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. I've got a piece of an old Zebco rod on here. And I'm going to slip this over a screwdriver like so. And then I've got to get it to not be trapped on the shaft. Okay, like that. Okay, and we can go ahead and start reeling this off of here. Somewhere in there, they tied on another piece of line, and this was run off of that. So, that's done. I will take a pair of pliers and pull this last little bit of line off of the spool like that, and the spool is now cleared of old line and ready to be rewound with new line. Now we're going to go ahead now and take off the handle. You know what? Yeah, we'll go ahead. Now let's go ahead and take the handle. I'll leave the handle on for the moment, because what we want to do, I'm going to take this out and be able to see what's going on. So let's start off by taking out these side plate screws. Okay, that's the screws out. Now here comes the side plate. Now you see that the button is mounted on the side plate, like so. And we'll clean all this up, and we will grease that so that it moves easily. Okay. And now, in order to take this out, this is a typical Shakespeare setup. We're going to blow this up. Now I have to remember to undo this. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to push that down, and there is a, let's get a little more light in here. Okay, we're going to push this, what I call a hat channel, down, or try to. See if we can get it to drop down. There we go. And there should be a clip in here. There it is. See the little wire clip? Okay, and then gently release the spring in the hat clip, or hat channel. There goes the hat. There it is right there. And it holds each side of this little clip spring right there. Okay, and we'll take the spring off. With that off, we can now slide the axle shaft out the front. At least I hope. Nope, we're being held by this spring that I talked about earlier. Okay, so we're going to have to get that spring out. Okay. And let's see. Now let's take this gear off. There we go. And let's blow this back out before I get... All right. Now, see, this is getting hung, and it's hung on that little spring right there. Okay. So, in order to do that, we're going to have to get in there and get that spring released. Okay, there's the spring. We're going to lift out on one side and then just kind of slide it out like that. And there it is. It's a D-shaped spring like that. Okay, and we'll be putting that back in there in a little bit. Okay, we'll slide that out. And it's got the axle out. With that out, now we're ready to come back over here and take this handle off. Okay, there's no washer under the nut for the handle. Okay, there goes the handle. And now we're going to remove the star drag. And it goes in with the concave side facing up. Okay, there we go. With that done now, this whole main gear should slide out along with the crankshaft, every bit of it. Okay, like that. Okay, and we'll take that apart in just a minute. We want to see if we're missing anything. Okay, there's our anti-reverse, and you see it's spring-loaded, and we do not want to take that out. It's swedged in there. Now, the cam does have a screw that you could take out if you wanted to, but there's not any need to. So we're going to leave that in. Okay, we're going to scrub this up, and let's take a look at this main gear and crankshaft. Okay, and the crankshaft is definitely stuck. There we go. It was definitely stuck to the main gear. Okay, there's our anti-reverse cog. And behind the anti-reverse, or on the other side of it, let's see, let me get my razor knife out. Okay. And we'll separate the drag washer from the anti-reverse cog. Now we can slide the crankshaft out of the gear, and we'll see if we can pop this last drag washer out. There we go, without breaking it, and we did. All right, now that gives us all these parts ready for cleanup. I think everything is disconnected, or disassembled is the word I'm looking for. And I'm going to go and clean all these parts up, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll reassemble them. All right, all the parts are clean, and everything looks pretty good now. Now, the reason that this was so tight to try to turn is because this sleeve was frozen into the side here. This piece has got to be able to turn, and it was not able to. I had to heat it up with a torch and drive it out. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing we put back. And we'll put a little grease on it. Slide it in. Okay, that's good to go. I'm going to move that over to the side, and we're going to start building up this crankshaft. We're going to start off by putting the drag washer on the crankshaft, and then we're going to put on the main gear like this. Follow that up with the heavy drag washer. That's the one that goes on the back. And I'm not going to grease these. I've found that these star drag spin cast reels don't seem to work very well if you grease this. So I'm not greasing it. Okay, the next part's going to go on is going to be the clicker cog, or the anti-reverse cog. Got that on, and I believe at that point we're ready to slide this back in. And what we'll do is we'll flip this lever so that the anti-reverse here is up and out of the way. Let's go ahead and add a drop of oil onto that anti-reverse. And then we're going to drop the main gear and crankshaft back in, and you got to hold that sleeve in or it will fall out like that just did. Okay, there we go. Okay, with that in place, we're going to go ahead and slide the tension washer on and then install the star drag. And I've evidently got it crooked because it ain't tightening up. Okay. Make sure that you got it on straight. There we go. Okay, tighten it down. Now it should spin. And that's because the sleeve, that sleeve that we were just looking at, is now turning. Okay, before what was happening, this was having to turn inside, so all your drag mechanism was involved in just trying to turn it. Okay, let's go ahead, flip the lever back. There we go, there's our anti-reverse. With that done, we're ready to now install the axle shaft. And remember, that D wire that goes in here, it's going to go right there. Well, it's going to work out a lot better if we go ahead and install the axle shaft now. Get that down inside there. And let's install that D wire as soon as we can, which should be right about now. So let's, there we go. I'm going to grab hold of it like so. And it's got to be able to go in and around like that. And get it to slide all the way in. There we go. Now, see that axle shaft should catch on that. Yeah, it does. All right. So now we have a washer that was stuck to the pinion gear. We'll install that first. Now we're going to slide on the pinion gear. Rotate it around until it drops onto the D shape on the axle shaft. Then we're going to slide on the spring. Then we will put on that hat channel that I talked to you about and get it to slide down past that groove like that. And then comes the final piece, which is going to be that little wire clip which I just dropped. Let's try putting it on again. All right, let's try. I hate well, I just lost that wire, and it sprung all the way on the other side of the building. All right, so I'll have to see about coming up with another one, which I happen to have a lot of springs. That's what I get for rushing. I think that's going to be the one we want right there. Yep. Okay. All right, I'm going to use my cheat system. I'm going to pull this down, and that spring doesn't have near the tension that the other one had. So I'm going to back that off, and we're going to try this one. Okay. Yeah, that's a much stronger spring. All right, I'm gonna put my hemostats on there to hold it in place. I'm gonna put my hat channel on. Get it to drop down below. And now this little clip has to go back on. Okay. There we go. Clip goes in. Rotate the hat channel around a little bit. Ease up on the tension. And there we go. Now our spring is properly installed. And it's time to go ahead and grease the main gear. There we go. All right, we got the axle shaft in place. Now, I'm going to grease up the post on this side panel. I'm going to go ahead and slide that through the button. And we're going to set the button back in place, like so, and put the 3 screws back in. All right, let's go ahead, put the handle on, and we may not have that spring quite in the right place on that axle. We're going to find out in a minute here. I don't think that spring is where it needs to be. It should be catching. And it's not. Okay. If you look at my D, it's actually stretched out a little bit. So we're going to grab it right here in this corner and see if we can't sneak it in a little bit. All right, let's try that again. Okay. It's trying. It's, Okay. Now it's working. Okay, made a new spring out of 24 thousandths spring wire, and let's get this guy to go in. There we go. Okay, that's in. That's locked in place. There we go. Let's add a little oil. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and put a little oil in the hole with the spring just to help it break in. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now we're ready to put the rotor back on. Make sure to put the lock washer on. Install the nut. Tighten it down. There we go. Okay, and short of losing 2 springs, this would have been pretty uneventful. Okay, let's put it into anti-reverse. That works fine. Put it into anti-reverse override. That works both ways just fine. The drag will adjust just fine. I don't have any line on it, so there's no way to test that. Well, there is. We can undo it here, and we can hold the rotor and see, yeah, will the handle turn? Yes, it does. Can we tighten it down? Yes, we can. Okay, good. And we can adjust how much slippage there is. All right. So there you have the Shakespeare 1765 Wonderflyte push button reel, model EG. And let's clean this up just a little bit. Okay, let's clean that up just a little bit right here. There we go. And that one is ready to go in my display case. Nice little reel. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. For now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.